Welcome to the East Bank Sports Show, proudly brought to you by the Fanatical Elves, a member of the Fans First Sports Network. Broadcasting live from the vibrant East Bank of the Flats in Cleveland, Ohio. Join us as we delve into the heart of Cleveland sports. It's your hosts, Noah and Matt.
Welcome into the East Bank Sports Show, everybody. I'm Noah. That's Matt. Matt, it's a fun day over here at the East Bank Sports Show. We have some new branding, man. We got a new logo. We got a new background. We got my TV on behind us. Give me your thoughts on the logo real quick, man. I'm really happy. If you guys haven't seen too, we've had a new logo at starting on Wednesday at the office edition of the show. But this is the official unveil of the rebrand, final rebrand for a very long time of the East Bank Sports Show. Matt, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, I love it. It looks awesome. And I want to say thank you, Noah, for all the work you put in to make everything look nice and pretty on the show. I appreciate it.
And more of a thanks to Eric from the Office Edition. He did a majority of the work, so I don't want to take credit for it. Shout out to him for the intro videos, the touch-ups on the logo, the guy we paid on Fiverr for the original mock-up of the logo. We've been putting some effort into this, hence why some of the production's been janky on the backside for a little bit. But we're here. We're full-blown in the same brand on both shows now, and I'm really happy with how everything turned out. With that being said, Matt, real quick, how was your week?
It was good. Staying busy with work, but got some exciting sports going on to entertain myself.
And speaking of exciting sports, as we speak, Kyle Manzardo makes his major league debut with Stephen Kwan being hurt. I wanted to debate with you a little bit what we think, this start to his MLB career is going to look like. It's the namesake of this episode for, I think, pretty good reason. But yeah, overall, we sat down. We're going to predict, his batting averages, his home runs, stolen bases, that kind of thing. But Matt, I'm going to turn it over to you to start us off this time and give me your thoughts on what Manzardo is going to do for the Guardians in this time that we kind of need him to be an offensive spark with Kwan being off.
So just to lead it off briefly for anybody that's not super familiar with Manzardo as a prospect, he holds a lot of potential as a power threat hitter. He's got a very solid approach at the plate. He's willing to take walks. He doesn't strike out a whole bunch. I personally am really excited for him. He's our number 2 ranked prospect. The one thing that worries me is you see a lot of MLB debuts go poorly. It's a lot to take on as a young kid. Look over at Jackson Holliday with the Orioles. One of the best rated prospects coming out this year. And I think he got like 6 or 7 games, and then he went back down to the minors because he was not playing great. It's a hard league. It's a hard league for young guys to play in. I think we're looking at somewhere around a 220, 225, 5 to 6 home runs, somewhere in that ballpark out of him. But I think, again, you're looking at a player that's going to go up. He's going to be up with the team for a little while here. He's probably going to end up going back down, spending a month back down, and then come back up and repeat that process maybe a few times, and then it'll click.
Yeah, I'm with you for the most part. I think, you look at his stats in the minors. Overall, he was batting through his whole career, 287. This season, he's a 303 with the Columbus Clippers. Last season, he was between 3 teams, so all single, double, and triple A. He was batting 236. Before that, 327. Before that, 349. I have him batting a little bit better than you do. I had him at a 253 with 7 home runs and 1 stolen base. I put 1 stolen base because he has 2 or 3, I'm looking right now, 2 career stolen bases in the minors in 4 years. So I'm going to give him 1 because because why not? I think he's going to hit a couple. He's a good batter. He isn't a home run machine, but I think we'll see a couple out of him this year, depending on how many times he makes it, up and how long he stays with the Guardians and doesn't, shuffle between Columbus and Cleveland. I think 253 is pretty fair. That's pretty below average of where he's at right now. I'm really excited to see him play. I just checked before we got on the show. He had one plate appearance, did not get a hit. I don't know if he fouled out, what exactly happened there, if he struck out, whatever. But all in all, I'm really excited to see him play because between him and, Chase DeLauter, who broke his foot, unfortunately, two prospects I was really hoping to see up in Cleveland this year. I'm really excited to see him the next couple games. I'm hoping to go to a 1 or 2 this week before I go on vacation. Any other thoughts on him, Matt?
One thing I am really interested to see is how we play him on defense. He hasn't shown a lot of ability to play anywhere other than first base. So obviously that could work with rotating him and Josh as DH. But then you look to the outfield with the quad injury. He's out for a significant amount of time. I mean, that really leaves you with Will Brennan, Freeman, Laureano, Florial, and maybe I'm predicting you're going to see a lot more of Arias out.
Arias, yeah.
The Arias get a bit more time playing in the outfield now. But it'll just be interesting to see how we rotate the DH slot, first base, and the outfield now. That's something I'm kind of interested to see, and it'll be another good benchmark to be able to grade vote once the season's said and done on how he'll be.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Manzardo is playing DH today. I am not super high on Florial, and he's playing left field today, I believe. I think he's in replace of Stephen Kwan. Yeah. So I really hope we figure out something else going on out there. But we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place right now. Hopefully Kwan's hamstring isn't something super serious. Obviously, he's on the 10-day list right now. But we'll see what happens. And in the meantime, I'm going to be excited about this number 2 young prospect that, we've all been kind of itching to see play in Cleveland, play some baseball in Cleveland. That being said, Matt, let's move forward because honestly, I'm in a good mood. We talked before the show. I don't think you're in a fantastic mood about this. The Cavs make it to the second round. We're going to predict this series. I am kind of curious as to what you're going to say because you said you were going to be a little spicy about this, but we'll see. We'll see. Go ahead, Matt.
We're throwing it back to the first couple episodes. You're seeing Debbie Downer, Matt, the Celtics in 4, maybe a gentleman's sweep. We might steal one at home. It's going to be ugly. I mean, the way we finished that series against the Magic, let me start by saying this. The Magic is a young, good team. I'm not trying to downplay them by any stretch of your imagination. If you can't look really solid against the Magic, you are not going to be able to hang with the Boston Celtics. Point blank, flat out. If we would have looked solid against the Magic, maybe won it in 5, 6, okay, cool. We have a shot against Boston. No, not taking them to 7, not looking the way we did, not getting blown out by almost 30 twice in the playoffs. No. I don't think it's going to be a very pretty series at all.
See, I don't know if it's because of the second half and, honestly, the second quarter on. I was really high on the effort and the energy. We could have very much been the team that sat down, tucked our tails, and went home, went on vacation, would have been completely done, ready to be done, go hang out in Orlando at Disneyland or whatever. But they didn't do that. The team fought. Donovan Mitchell hit the floor 40 times, got up like he hasn't been on the floor once, even with all the injuries he's had this year. I can't in good faith, as much as I want to be a homer, predict that the Cavs win this series. I do think it's Celtics in 6. I think we steal one early. I don't know if it'll be the game tomorrow, but maybe Thursday. We come into Cleveland 1-1. They steal one in Cleveland. So we go, 2-2. Boston wins 2 more, and that's all she wrote. But I think we make it interesting. We played Boston well during the regular season. We beat them one time, and they're out Kristaps Porzingis right now. So there's some matchups to be had there. If Jared Allen can get healthy, hopefully Dean Wade can come back this season for some shooting off the bench. I would be really content with a 6-game loss, which is really weird to say. But, going from thinking at the beginning of the game that we're losing Donovan and all that in game 7 yesterday to where we're at now, where I'm, very content with the effort that they put up in game 7 against the Magic. I'm really happy with it. Matt, what else do you got?
Cool storyline, bro. We mounted a rally. The Celtics aren't going to let that happen. They're going to get up by 30 and finish the game up by 40.
You don't think that the Celtics are showing just a little bit of fraud?
No.
That's crazy.
I mean, the one thing that I will agree with, and I did want to bring up, is we did play them pretty solidly in the regular season. I'll agree with you on that. And losing Porzingis could be important. We're not going to be able to come back from down big on the Celtics like we were the Magic.
Okay, but I'll one-up you on that because, again, I disagree with you. The Celtics lost to a Bucks team without Damian Lillard and without Giannis. So you don't think we have any chance to pull 1, 2, maybe 3 games out of our ass to, at least make the series interesting?
We might pull one. We might pull a gentleman's sweep. But that's it. We're not – the way this team has looked playing playoff basketball and getting coached in the playoffs, not good. Has not impressed me. Do not feel comfortable with it. I don't know. I'm just not comfortable coming into a series against arguably one of the best – not arguably one of the best teams in basketball this year.
So let me ask you this, because this was the original question I posed earlier in the week, and then we kind of moved it to predicting what the semifinal series between us and the Celtics would look like. Would you still fire JB if you beat the Celtics in this series? If you go on to the Eastern Conference Finals, and, we came in hot last week. Me and you were both like, it's time to let him go. I've always kind of been on the side of it's time to let him go, but you make the Eastern Conference Finals. Can you fire him? Do you fire him? What are your thoughts, Matt?
Fire him. Cool. Fire him. He brings home a championship. Give him one more year. He doesn't, you fire him. I mean, look at what I believe it was Toronto maybe 4 or 5 years ago, lost in the finals, fired their head coach. The NBA is a wicked business, man. I mean, he has given us enough lowlights of horrible coaching demonstrations, in my opinion. He's got to go if he doesn't win a championship, and I don't think he will this year.
Yeah, that's crazy to even think about. To me, what scares me, right, is when we had David Blatt and then moved into Tyronn Lue when, 2015, 2016. JB's giving me David Blatt right now. Obviously, this team is not as good as the 2015, 2016, even 2017, 2018 Cavs. JB's kind of giving me David Blatt right now. He's like there, like he's accomplished enough, and he's there, and I'm okay. I'm not okay with him being the coach. He's an okay coach. But is he moving the needle at all, or it's just tough? And there's an argument to be said that Tyronn Lue didn't really do that either. But I'm a fan. He's gotten other coaching jobs in the NBA, head coaching jobs at that. So it's not like it was a one-stop shop. Oh, he was LeBron's, puppet basically. Like he's still a coach in the NBA and still has coached teams as a head coach. I'm just curious if that guy's out there. The first one that comes to mind is Budenholzer, who was fired from the Bucks. He has a history playoff and regular season career. I'm just really curious if they're already kind of looking like JB already knows the writings on the wall and they're kind of all just having fun at it. But yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think you can't move on with JB, even if you make the Eastern Conference Finals. It would have to be bar none like a finals berth, I feel like, to not move on from JB. And even then, with some of the rotations and some of the stuff that, are blatant, gripes that fans and media members alike have had with the guy, it's, yeah.
I mean, I just think, like, once the NBA season wraps up, it seems like every year there's a wild coaching carousel. Why not throw Cleveland into the mix and see what we can come out with? I don't really think it can be much worse than what we have now.
No, that's fair. I'd be curious. I wish we could like fast forward to a point and see what some of these players say after the fact, like after he's gone, to see what the locker room culture really was like. Like, me and you can have our gripes about rotations and some of the calls that he makes and that kind of thing. But I wonder if the locker room's actually behind him at all. And I'm not saying that I know or don't think or do think or anything like that. I'm just curious what, a guy like Donovan will come out and say, if he says anything at all, or if any of the guys, even if they move on from like Niang or something like that, who has no, hand in the pot anymore. I'm curious what these players are going to say about him as a coach. Cause it's been rough for him in terms of Cleveland sports fans and Cleveland media,
I mean, yeah, I don't think Cleveland's an easy city to come play for or coach for, because our fans are very critical of our own teams. And I honestly think that might be kind of part of his problem is he starts getting in his own head of, is everybody going to be happy with this versus winning games? And then he makes bad decisions and gets us down by 30 to the Magic.
Yeah, it's not a fun one with JB sometimes. With that being said, let's take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and we're going to wrap the show up talking a little bit of Browns. It's the dog days of the off season, so we came up with a little fun topic, kind of just to debate, go back and forth, and go from there. That being said, let us take our break. We'll be right back. And we are back with the East Bank Sports Show. I hope you enjoyed those commercials. If you are listening, post the live show on wherever you listen to your podcast, whether that be Spotify, Apple Music, what have you. Make sure you hit the download button. It helps us out a ton. Make sure you subscribe and check out all of the other Fanatical Elves content out there. Matt, I put us in the GM seat this week. You are forced to trade one starter on this Cleveland Browns roster. You have to. You are Andrew Berry. Jimmy Haslam says, we need to cut some money. I don't even care if it's a rookie contract. I don't want to spend any more money on the starters. Who are you cutting and why? And I took it as I'm not even looking at what the return is. I don't know what you did because I kind of threw this one out there up to interpretation for a reason. You go out there. You tell me who you're cutting. You tell me why you're cutting him. Take it away.
So I actually looked at this from more of a trade standpoint than a cut. So.
I did it trade. I did it trade too. I thought trade too. It was more trade.
So, and this is gonna hurt Noah. So I need you to sit exactly how you are, so you block that jersey.
I knew you were gonna answer this
because
I knew you were gonna answer this. Go
Wyatt
ahead.
Teller, you are no longer a Cleveland Brown. I'm sorry to break it to you, buddy, but your value's high right now. And unfortunately, the way the NFL is, you're old and you're only going to get older and your play's only going to decline. I love you. You're the heart and soul of that offensive line, and it pains me to do it, but it's got to happen. If that's the situation I'm put in, he's still got really solid value, and I don't see it getting much higher. It makes the most sense. I'm sorry, Noah.
Did you, first of all, I'm mad at you. We are no longer friends. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge Wyatt Teller fan. But did you do it in a terms of like trade? Did you get any value back, or did you just straight up pick a player that you think is disposable like I did?
No, I mean, I just picked players that would make sense to move on from. Obviously, I kind of went at it with the mindset of obviously you have to get the right deal back for the player.
Right.
Like I'm not shipping Wyatt Teller for a 7th round pick. And
Out of curiosity, what would you be okay with us trading Wyatt Teller for?
oh, that's a good question. I mean, if we pulled the trigger today on a Wyatt Teller trade, I mean, so in my mind, I saw Quentin Nelson trade rumors flying around, I believe, last year. And that was like a first round and a third round or something like that was the rough general area. Obviously, Wyatt Teller's a bit older and maybe not quite as good. I don't want to put it that way, but I mean Quentin Nelson is probably the best guard in the league.
Right.
I would say a high third, second rounder maybe, and then maybe another late pick or a swap.
See, I just don't love getting a pick back for anybody that's a starter on this roster. I'd almost want to add somewhere else in the roster, which is kind of hard to talk about. But I just wanted to see what you would say to that. Did you do more than one player? I did 2 players.
I did kind of look into 2 more players, but they are conveniently the same 2 that you have listed. So I'll let you
Okay.
go and take the third remaining.
We'll debate it. So another player that had trade rumors around him, Greg Newsome, who we recently picked up his 5th-year option, I think makes sense. I know Denzel Ward and honestly the whole secondary has been very open about keeping the band together because we have a lot of great secondary support in our defense right now. That being said, if we could pluck Greg Newsome and get something, Andrew Berry came out and said there was no deals on the table for really anyone that he thought moved the needle for the Cleveland Browns. Put that to the side. Say we're getting a good offer for Greg Newsome, I'd take it in a heartbeat. I'd be upset. I love Greg Newsome. I love all the corners. But when you end up becoming a good team, a deep team, a well put together franchise like the Cleveland Browns are right now, someone's got to be a casualty here and there. Sione Takitaki was arguably a fan favorite, maybe more so because of his name, but he was a pretty damn good player last year for us, and he ended up moving away. Same thing with Anthony Walker. Anthony Walker was an anchor in our defense. Granted, he had a lot of injury history. He ended up, having to go away in free agency. It happens. It's going to be a part of, this Cleveland Browns roster moving forward, especially if we keep up the momentum of being a well put together front office, coaching staff, ownership group, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Greg Newsome to me makes a lot of sense. Matt, did you have anything else you wanted to add in that?
I mean, you pretty much hit it on the head. Again, his value is pretty high, and he's going to get expensive quick, I think, to keep on this roster. And it's almost going to turn into a luxury we can't afford to keep that many elite corners in one room. Is very, very expensive. And we spend a lot of money for the quarterback we have. So we don't have a lot of room to play with that, I think. But other than that, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, speaking about not having room for a quarterback, I phrased the question as what Cleveland Browns starter would you trade, get rid of, et cetera, if you had to. I cheated a little bit. I put DTR on my list in case Matt said Greg Newsome in the episode as my secondary talking point. But since you had it written down, and I think it's an interesting one to kind of touch on, as we kind of have in a couple past episodes, wanted to touch on it. So I counted it because obviously he started a couple games for us last season. So did half of the free agency, practice squad quarterbacks out there. DTR, look, I love him. I love his attitude. I pay attention. He has a YouTube channel. I think I've mentioned that on here before. I've watched his vlogs, that kind of thing. DTR, I love him. I love everything about him. I think he is a great prospect for where we got him. That being said, we signed Tyler Huntley and we signed Jameis Winston. two quarterbacks that very much align more with the Deshaun Watson style of quarterback play. DTR, to me, reminds me more of like the Brock Purdy type, the system quarterback. Here's your read 1, 2, and 3, and he does his read 1, 2, and 3. Where to a fault of Jameis Winston and honestly Tyler Huntley too, even though I always liked Tyler Huntley for some reason, even though he was a rat bird. They're the improv, quarterbacks. They throw down the field after play breaks, that kind of thing. That I just don't think you're going to see much out of DTR in the NFL, even if he does get a starting job. So therefore, I think he might be a casualty because people do see him as a good prospect to be either a backup or, one of those not rotational starters, but, bridge quarterback-esque starters years down in the NFL. What are your thoughts about that, Matt?
So I've brought it up in the past on the podcast how much of a fan of DTR I am. I absolutely love the guy. And as much as it sucks, we have a full quarterback room. And really, in my mind, the argument to be made is Huntley or DTR. One of the two has to go to the practice squad. More likely, you don't sign a guy from free agency to put him on your practice squad. Like, that just doesn't make a lot of sense. So it's likely going to be DTR. He's not going to stay on our practice squad. Another team's going to come sign him. We get nothing for a draft pick. Might as well try to trade him for even a 7th rounder. And truly, deep down in my heart, I hope he makes us regret it and goes on to be a phenomenal quarterback in the league. Not even from a sense of like, oh, make Cleveland look bad or whatever. I just really like the dude. Like, I really want him to succeed. I just agree the writing on the wall is there that it's not going to be in Cleveland.
Yeah, it sucks. You hit the nail on the head with my other point. There's no way we're rostering 4 quarterbacks as much as we would love to after last season, I feel like. With when and where you sign Tyler Huntley, unless he has a bad camp, I don't think you want to put him on your practice squad, nor did you bring him in here to be a practice squad quarterback. On top of the fact that I also, just DTR, if he goes to the practice squad, if I was a GM, a coach, anybody in the NFL, and I saw him go there, like I would take a chance on him as opposed to some of the other 2nd, 3rd string quarterbacks out there. He has playing experience already. He has shown the ability, in the preseason and at times in the regular season. Shout out the game-winning drive with the Steelers, against the Steelers, I should say, not with the Steelers. That he has the ability to, do some things in this league that you need out of at least a backup quarterback, you know what I mean? Or, a fringe guy, like I kind of said. It sucks that I think the writing's on the wall for him unless, one of these quarterbacks don't look fantastic in training camp that aren't named Deshaun Watson. Because I think, the writing's on the wall. That being said, Matt, do you have any other players? Yep, go ahead.
So I know this is taking us slightly off topic here, but that is something I was thinking about when I was considering DTR for this topic. And I know all the media and everything has come out saying he looks phenomenal, feels phenomenal, everything's going perfectly according to plan. And like you said, we're not rostering 4 quarterbacks, but there's like a little bit in the back of my mind that's wondering, are we concerned Deshaun's not going to be able to start for us week 1? And like, are we maybe potentially prepping for the small possibility he starts the year on the IR maybe? And that's how you get rid of the 4th quarterback? Like, just part of me is wondering if we're getting one story and the truth is something else with his shoulder right now. Because that kind of seems how they played it when the injury was occurring, whether it was intentional or not. It's just something that I kind of found interesting and put a little bit of thought into when there's more than likely nothing there and I'm just overthinking everything.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of us like that right now that think it, especially because Deshaun, is kind of giving these softball answers of like, I'll be ready when I'm ready. Like, okay, we know you'll be ready when you're ready, but what's the timetable? Like, you're our starting franchise quarterback. You're, getting paid all this money. We're kind of relying on you as fans for our season to be what our season can be next year. Yeah, I'm with you. I wonder if that could be a factor of it, or if they did that initially as kind of a knee-jerk reaction because they wanted to make sure they were safe after all of the trouble with quarterback we had last season, which is totally fair.
PTSD.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. It's also not like Andrew Berry, I feel like, to give up on prospects right away. So that's something to be said. But if you could deal DTR for fourth, fifth, sixth, or a combination of some day 3 picks, I don't know what the market is like. Obviously, I'm not an NFL GM. The closest I'll probably ever be is Madden. I could see why you would want to move in that direction. Matt, we have a giveaway that I announced last week for one of the dog food stores. Shout out Jarrell on the Fanatical Elves Network. Hats. Got it right here. The hat that will be shipped to the winner. And I did pick a winner before the show started. So I'm going to pull up the Twitter and read it right now. And of course, it went away. Keon C. at Louis Orange. You have won the hat. Congratulations to you. I will be sending you a DM here soon to figure out about shipping that out. But congrats on the hat, man. I have the brown version of it. I love it. I've worn it like 2 or 3 times since I got it like a week ago. And if you guys who watch regularly couldn't tell, me and Matt have a lot of hats. So 2 or 3 wears out of a hat already is a good thing. Let's wrap up with our final topic. Final thoughts and takes. Matt, what is your final take of the week?
Are you sure you want me to go first?
I mean, mine's lighthearted, so yeah, you could go for it.
I almost wish we lost the series to the Magic.
That's crazy. Why is that?
We threw a game at the end of the year to get a matchup we wanted, and we almost lost it in 7. I think it would have been absolutely hilarious. It would have hurt as a Cleveland fan, but as a sports fan, it's what you get. That's karma. You don't throw a professional game.
And I agree with you. However, I'm a Cleveland fan, and that's crazy because you are a Cleveland fan too. So why would you want the worst to happen in a city that has had a lot of worst happen to them? Shout out the 52-53 year playoff drought, or not the championship drought. What even is that take? I'm sorry. Normally final takes are not supposed to be debated like this, but what the hell?
Hey, I don't know. As I am a Cleveland fan, and I agree to you, I am speaking crazy right now. But I don't know. You threw a professional game to get a matchup you wanted. I think it would have been absolutely hilarious for them to go on and lose to that matchup.
Not in Cleveland. If it was someone else, I'm with you, not with Cleveland. We're going to put that to the side. That's okay. My final take, which is a lighthearted one. I don't know if anybody out there has seen it. Matt Tugboat Wilkinson. He is a starting pitcher in our, farm right now. He is in with the Lynchburg Wildcats. I forget the name of our low A. Love watching him play. He's a bigger dude. Shout out the bigger dude rep. I love watching him play. He throws absolute gas. He will be a starter in the MLB. Mark my words. That's my hot take for the week. That being said, Matt, do you have anything else you want to throw out there before we wrap up the episode?
I'm going to refrain from saying too much more. I've already made you mad enough for one episode. Between Teller and that, I think I'm good for the day. So everybody have a great week.
You kind of came at me today. What did I do? We texted like normal this week. What's the beef? Please do tell.
I gave you a warning. You were probably not going to like some of the things I had to say today.
Fair enough. Well, with that being said, guys, thank you everybody for tuning in to yet another episode of the East Bank Sports Show. Real quick, one last housekeeping thing. I will be on vacation, my first big boy vacation since graduating college. So therefore, there is probably not going to be episodes of either the East Bank Sports Show or the East Bank Sports Show at the office next week. We will continue with that content as soon as I'm back. Regularly scheduled Sundays or Mondays, depending on when Matt works, and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, or Wednesdays, depending on what works for the office guys schedule. Thank you again for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, check out everybody else on the Fanatical Elves, and enjoy the rest of your week, Cleveland, because at the end of the day, Cleveland's a great city. Go Browns, go Cavs, go Guardians, and until next time.